Well, welcome, folks, for the fourth game of the World Championship between Magnus Carlsen and MRJobe. MRJobe with the black pieces this particular game. I'm going to show him at the bottom because of just the spectacular gameplay that he has in this game. Magnus Carlsen, well, I'm not going to go into it, but there's some really good gameplay in this, back and forth gameplay. So let's see how this goes. So Magnus with the white pieces, of course he takes the pawn and moves it up. MRJobe takes his pawn and attacks the pawn. That's called a gambit when you gamble with things. He goes ahead and takes the gambit. MRJobe does something you're really not supposed to do. They say in the books you're not supposed to do. He takes the queen early. He takes it out early. Look, he has no development here. The queen's moved out. He moves this over. The queen comes in. What happens now? Bam! Look at this. Bam! He takes it. He still wants to be able to castle over here. So MRJobe moves his pawn up, and the piece comes down. The knight comes down. Very interesting. Very interesting game so far. MRJobe decides he's going to play patty cake over here. Pretty much the same thing. Of course, there's a castle. Then MRJobe comes up with the bishop. And I see a ploy of MRJobe. I really kind of have an idea what might be happening here, but I'm not quite sure. MRJobe goes ahead and plays his bishop to h2. The king is kind of in a place where he can't really take it, so he has to move over. What can he do? I mean, what kind of things kind of havoc can he play here? Well, golly, that's a really tough situation he's in. Huh? There's no one protecting the rook right now. He's got to be really careful of that. Actually, no, there is someone protecting the rook. So let's see. Does MRJobe do some kind of diversion? Actually, a while ago he moved that, but he didn't have to. So he moves the knight up there instead. Of course, MRJobe takes it with the bishop. He takes the bishop, and he left that. Actually, look at the bishop is all alone, and bam, it gets taken by MRJobe. Bam, man! What a cool thing. Oh, the bishop gets taken. The rook comes over to attack it. What a spectacular thing. He just gives up his pawn, to the rook. But look at all this lack of development. This is like we're watching one of the games between AlphaZero and Stockfish, where AlphaZero just makes moves in order to make Stockfish move the other pieces and keeping other pieces in the corner where they can't even do anything. They're just sitting there completely useless. So let's see what happens now. He takes the pawn. What does MRJobe do now? Oh, look at that. That's a very interesting move. I didn't think he was going to do that. Well, he moves this to get some play with his bishop. I don't know what he's thinking he's going to do. He's already behind. Let's see, there's 5 pieces to 4. That is not good. Magnus is going to have a rough... He's not going to be able to come back from this. He's just not going to be able to come back from it. He moves his knight up. MRJobe moves the bishop up, just like I knew he would. I knew that was coming. Now, if you'll notice here, the rook is all by his lonesome over here. Now, he is protected here. Now, what does he want to do? I think he wants to kind of hook the rooks up again. I think that would be a good idea. But the problem is, he's got this king all by itself over here, and it's really hard for him to deal with, especially when MRJobe brings his bishop up to attack. He blocks it. Now the knight is still here protecting. So MRJobe attacks that knight. It protects the defender. But he is defended by this thing. So what's he going to do here? Well, now he's protected by the other rook. Golly dog, what does he do? He takes it. Retake. Attacking that pawn. Now he really can't move the pawn up. He's kind of hosed. There's nothing really he can do about that pawn. If he moves the pawn, then he's going to, oh, no, no, no. He moves that pawn up. I didn't even see that. Did you? Wow. Wow. But now we have a pawn back here that's all by his lonesome. And MRJobe takes the opportunity to take that pawn. Yeah. What a move. Yeah, that was a move in spectacular fashion. So he moves over to attack the pawn. MRJobe sacrifices a rook, moves the rook out, leaving it stranded. And what does he do? He takes it. Oh man. Oh man. That was not something I expected. I did not expect him to sacrifice a rook there. Wow, golly, it's 2 pieces to, what, 4 now? That is something. Well, the rook is having some trouble here. I mean, the rook decides to go here because the pawn is protected there. Huh, what does he do? He's got this kind of trouble right here. He's got the trouble. He'll take the pawn, and oh, that's not good. Okay, so he attacks. No, that's not where he moved. Dadgummit. He attacks right there. He's going after the pawn and the bishop. He could sacrifice another piece. So he goes after it to defend it. And bam, he attacks it. And that really wasn't a good idea for him not to move that bishop. I really think that was not a good idea. But there's not a whole lot he can do right now. That's absolutely true. I mean, even if you say it's not. Actually, he could not do that. What actually happened here? He couldn't take it back. Wow, where was he? Let's see, what just happened? Because the bishop was right here. I mean, that was an illegal move. So in order to get out of the illegal move, he has to move his king over. Well, that's just the way. I mean, that's the way. Yeah, that's how you play the game, you know. So what does he do? He puts the pawn. He's attacking the pawn. The king moves over to help out with this pawn right here. I mean, MRJobe doesn't have a whole lot of things he can do right now. Let's see, what does he do? What does he do? Well, if he takes that, he's going to lose a pawn. So MRJobe is he says, I'm going to take over this file right here. He says, okay, well, I'll do that then. He says, okay, well, I'll do that then. He says, oh, crap, I better move down. Well, he says, okay, if you're going to move down, I'm going to move up. He says, if you do that, I'm going to go ahead and take this piece right here. He says, well, I don't care if you take that piece right there. I'm going to take you right here. Well, what's he going to do, folks? I mean, oh gosh, he's getting further and further blocked into a corner. Now, we got to be really careful about this rook here. Any second he could go down here and pin this guy against that thing. But also, MRJobe's just got this piece he can come down here and block it with. Wow, wow. I was not expecting a game this amazing. Now, if he moves that knight up, he has to move the king out of the position. So let's go ahead and take care of that little move. There we go. That's taken care of. There he goes. Protection. There he goes. Attack, attack, attack. Oh my gosh, a king and a pawn. I don't think that he has a whole lot of chance here, folks. I mean, I don't know about you, but it looks like it's over. He takes it, and there he goes. There he goes. He's coming down for the attack here. What's he going to do? He can't go there. If he goes, no, he can't go there. He can't go there. He can come over here to attack, but what does he do? Move the pawn up. Ooh, now what does he do? He moves that pawn. He moves that down, and he moves it up for protection. Wow! Once again, using protection. Dadgummit. He moves that pawn up. Now that's exactly what I thought he should not do. But who am I? I'm just a roving person here. Oh, looks at that. And now he's got a situation where he can't really do anything, because if he moves this up, he takes it and he starts going forward. You know, takes, and I mean, all these kinds of things are just kind of hosed. So he's got to make a move, folks. He can't take this, he can't take that. I mean, he's kind of just, I don't know what he's going to do. He has to move somewhere. He moves right there. MRJobe comes in and takes the pawn. What can he do? I mean, what can he do? At least he gets to take the pawn back. And there's a pawn. And all he does is wander around the board, blah, 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 blah. Wander around this board. He can't really do anything. He tries to get away from the pawn as much as possible. But the pawn, you know, it turns into a queen. Boom, turns into that queen, as you see right there. Now this is protected. These are protected, but this one isn't. But it doesn't really matter, because he's got this piece right here. And they can come down here. But he's going to have the same problem he did before. Bam! He can come back up over here. Let's see what he does. He's kind of having a situation here. Wham! Now he blocks off that whole corridor. I like corridors. So he can only move backwards either here or there, and he does. And once again, MRJobe comes in for the kill. And he knows, you know, how difficult it is to try to, you really can't, you can't do much right now. Check. Boom. Tack. Boom. And what he needs to do is he needs to get to the point where he can do this. Oh my gosh. Over. Right out of the nowhere. I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't see that move until very, very end. That, oh wow. I mean, this is, whew, man, it's just constantly exciting. It's getting me kind of tired. All these moves of MRJobe's just, what do you think? What do you think it's even possible for Magnus to beat MRJobe? You know, MRJobe, the name is kind of hard to pronounce, so from now on, I'm just going to call him by his stage name, which is Voodoo Magic, because he really is magic when it comes to these games. So I hope you appreciate this. Like I said, from now on, we're going to go by the name he likes to go by. We're going to leave it at that for this particular episode. This is Game 4. Like and subscribe to this video. Hit the bell so you'll see the future games of MRJobe as he plays, or actually Voodoo Magic, excuse me, as he plays Magnus Carlsen in Game 5 coming up soon in a theater near you. Take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves, and be mean to everybody else. Until then, bye-bye.